Good morning and welcome to another pre-market review session with Market Trader. My name is Ray, the Market Trader. And before we get started here, we'll need to run through our risk disclosure. Okay, so just want to remind everyone that the content that's being published and distributed by the Market Trader is to be treated as general information only. None of the information provided by the company or contained herein is intended as investment advice. An offer to buy, sell, recommend, endorse, sponsor any security, future, company, or fund. Use of this information contained herein is to be used at your own risk, and the company, its partners, representatives, agents, employees, and contractors assume no responsibility or liability for any use or misuse of such information. Future trading does carry a fair amount of risk. It's not for every investor. An investor could potentially lose all or more of their investment capital. Only risk capital money that can be lost without jeopardizing one's financial security or lifestyle should be used for trading, and only those individuals with sufficient risk capital should consider trading. Again, nothing contained herein is a solicitation or an offer to buy, sell futures, options, or forex, and past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. All right. So now that we've gotten through the risk disclosure here, guys, we'll turn our attention to the news and see what kind of news do we have in store today that could have has the potential of impacting the markets here. Okay, so we'll just go to review this here a little bit. So we have durable goods, both core U.S. durable goods and core durable goods reporting are actually in the process of being reporting. Looks like there's coming in a little bit positive than expectations here. And then we have information about the 2-year note coming in at 1 p.m. today. Otherwise, relatively light in the way of news here. Okay, we are still in earnings. A number of folks will be reporting tomorrow. United Health, General Motors, American Airlines, UPS are all reporting earnings prior to the market tomorrow. And as we look ahead of the week, we have another interest rate announcement potentially coming in at January 28th, which is Wednesday here at 2 p.m. So that's something. And then we have some pretty hefty earnings, Microsoft and Tesla coming in reporting earnings. And we close out the week with the normal suspects, initial jobless claims, trade balance, and more in the way of earnings. Okay, so relatively, at least for today, relatively light. But as the week progresses, more and more news that could has the impact of impacting the markets here. All right, so we'll go ahead now and close out our portal here, and we'll kind of move towards a review of the charts. Okay, we'll do this. Let's see here. Okay, let's start off with the gold market here. So we'll move this over here for a bit up here. All right. Okay. All right. So we'll turn our attention to the daily chart of the gold to start, and we'll kind of follow that up with silver. All right. So here we are. A daily chart had kind of did some forecasting on the possibility here of where price could reach, and looks like we reached the 200% of this most recent swing here. Okay. So daily chart continues to look quite strong. As I mentioned, we've reached this 5,073 level, and we continue to make new highs here. Okay, so daily chart quite bullish. Looking at the DMI also giving us a strong indication here with a reading of 35, okay, as far as our momentum, and we're up to 43 on our positive DI here, okay, indicating a good amount of buying pressure here at the moment, and both our positive DI and negative DI are diverging, meaning that they're separating, right, creating a large gap in between, again indicating a good amount of pressure to the upside remains in the gold market. Okay, taking a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart, again, we're going to go ahead and remove some of our drawings here, and take a closer look here, you can see that price is above all our averages here. Okay, above the 9, above the 20, above the 50, above the 100, above 200, all indicating a lot more in the way of upside potential in this market. I'm going to identify here a level here based on the volume profile, visible range volume profile, that could serve as maybe an area of potential support, which is well below the market here as we speak at 4941.10. That's the value area high of this visible range volume profile. We're seeing a little bit of selling here on the 4-hour. You can see that our volume delta is aligned, or our volume bars here are aligned with the general direction of the market. Certainly a pullback back to the 9 EMA, I think will be kind of well received here, back to 50, 19, 20. Certainly this area that we've left here at 49.71 could be another location, and that would actually cause to fill this gap that's been created as a result of the open of this market here, right? So another level that I'm going to kind of call out here is this 49.40, 49.41. Somewhere in that range is, or actually a little bit higher than that, 49.84. 49.84 appears to be a logical area where we could find some continued buying or buying participants. Okay, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart here, you can see that price is making its way below. Okay, we're starting to see that price has managed to get below this 9 EMA and kind of working its way below the VWAP. Okay, now we kind of have a kind of a bit of a skewed volume profile here to the right-hand side. Would not be surprised in the least if we spend a little bit of time here kind of filling in this area here of the profile to maybe kind of normalize this volume profile here a bit. Okay, because at the moment it seems a bit we have a lot of lack of volume, maybe a little bit of repair is in order today in this market. Okay, taking a look at the fixed range volume profile from Friday and comparing it to what we see today, or what we see currently in current pricing here. So we'll go ahead and locate that back here at the start of the session here back on Friday, drag that across to the close here. You can see that we're well above value. We created a gap as a result of the open of this market here, right around the 5,000 level. I would expect that this level will continue. Would not surprise me if we were to come back at some point to this level. It also serves as the point of control of this visible range. So before we see any sort of move back to the upside, that would not, I'm going to go ahead and extend this line here to the right. Okay, so that would be kind of a logical place for price around the 5,000, maybe as low as 4,991. Okay, that's kind of where we're, or 82. That's kind of the area that we have the point of control. Headed into the session, again, I think we are looking at a market that continues to show signs of bullish behavior here. We had a good amount of buyers here at the open of the Asia market here. We'll take a peek at that at the right now and see, just to kind of confirm my view on this. So we'll go ahead and open up the initial balance range here for Asia. Okay, and take a look. All right, so here we are. You can see that price did manage to exceed the range here. Again, it used 50.51 as an area for some support, and before it continued. So kind of again, another area that we can maybe look at, and it is kind of reacting from that level again. Okay. This 50.51 level does appear to be an area of some support here. Okay, so it would not surprise me in the least if we were to maybe remain in some sort of range today. Okay, I'm going to take a peek here now at the London. London does appear to be still remaining inside the initial balance range that it established. We'll just kind of go ahead and confirm that. Actually, it actually managed its way below it So again, indicating that maybe that we are headed for maybe a little bit of a range day during the during the New York session. Okay, so we're seeing a little bit of the in the way of some overlapping positive and negative DI. We see that our ADX indicator is indicating some loss, some momentum here in this market. So indicating that we could very well head into potential range here on this market. All right. So headed into the session, I would say that I remain, say bullish to neutral in this market. I think it's quite possible that we remain in this range. I'm going to go ahead and draw here, somewhere in this range, right? We could remain in this kind of range. We're going to go ahead and maybe highlight that in white here. Okay, we could remain in this range as high as 5,100 and as low as 50.55. Okay, so again, headed into the market or headed into the session today. Again, my view on this is that we remain in some sort of bullish to range kind of a set view. Okay, taking a look now at the silver market. Okay, silver market. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that. We're going to start off with the daily chart, okay, and the daily chart is even possibly even more bullish. And then we've seen the gold, okay, again creating a little bit of a gap here, right? We see a gap in a gap open, right? So again, the expectation is that this gap will eventually get filled, okay? So we'll go ahead and draw this area here, all right, somewhere in this range. This gap will eventually get filled. All right, so this right around 104 and as low as 101.30. This would be a logical area where I could expect possibly price to come back. Okay, come back and fill before we see any sort of a continuation move here to the upside. Okay, that's certainly I would say over the next couple of days. That would be my kind of expectation here. Okay, taking a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart again, we're going to go ahead and turn off the initial balance range here for a moment. Okay, see you can turn this off here. Turn off the initial balance range. You can see that we have a market that's continuing to make higher highs and higher lows. We're well above the visible range volume profile here at 99.76. That would be considered a little bit of a discount location for a continuation move. Okay, down to this level. We identified that as kind of the beginnings of the gap or the closing of the gap. And then we have a little bit of confluence here with the high end of the initial balance range. Okay, so this 99.90, 99.975 could serve as a logical location, and it's also a psychological number, right? It's right around the 100 price here in the silver. Okay, so a little bit extended at the moment, above the 9, above the 20. Okay, so would not surprise me in the least if we were to pull back here a little bit. Maybe back to 104.940 before we kind of continue our move here to the upside. But we continue to see a market that is showing a lot of bullish signs. Okay, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, been I guess a little bit of range of late here during London. Certainly during the overnight. Slightly bullish here, but we'll take a look here at the initial balance here to start. We'll go ahead and remove our drawings here. Seeing a little bit of a kind of a little bit of a consolidation here. We're right up against the 9 EMA here on the shorter time frame. On the shorter time frame, is showing a little bit of signs, maybe struggling to maybe make some new highs here. But we continue to grind, I would say, higher. All right. I was going to take a look here at the initial balance range to start, and then we'll kind of move into the volume profile here. So again, looking at London, London still very much in range. Okay, so we did make an attempt to make a new high. That's been initially rejected. Okay, and now we've come back to the 9 EMA, and it appears that we found, maybe at least for now, we may have found some buyers here. Okay, some buyers that maybe are interested, leaving a little bit of a buying wick We'll have to wait and see how this current candle closes here in the next 13 minutes or so before we can actually conclude exactly which direction they plan to continue to take this market. All right. We're going to go maybe kind of pop into the Asia range for initial balance just to see kind of what the sentiment was for Asia. Now you can see Asia was similar to what we saw in gold. We had a nice break of the initial balance range. We reached the 50% extension of this initial range, came back to a logical level, kind of did a little bit of a liquidity sweep here, probably ran some stops here. I got to as low as 106 before it continued its path to the upside, reaching the 100% extension of this initial balance range. So fair amount, I would say, fair amount of buyers in this market. Certainly a lot of Asia participants that are bullish on silver here at the moment. Okay, taking a maybe closer look here at our fixed range volume profile and seeing where price is in relation to Friday's action. We'll go ahead and start off here, drag this across to the close, and you can see that we're well above value. Okay, indicating that there's a, folks are willing to pay a premium to be part of this market. We're going to go ahead and extend this line because this line could serve as maybe a future location for price. 101.375 would be a logical location should price come back. Right, we did have a gap here in around right around 104 that was kind of filled to some degree. We have a wick that kind of wicked into this area before it continued to the upside. Just at the open of the just prior to the open of the day here. Okay, we kind of created a higher open. We kind of wicked our way down, and now we are again appears to be in some sort of bullish. We seem to be seeing some more bullish price action. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead with maybe a little bit of a similar sentiment that I gave. I'm going to maybe also highlight this area here. I see the high end of the value, this visible range volume profile, also offering me another location here at 108.50. That might offer. We're going to take a look at ADR here to see how far or how much room we have in this market. Okay, looks like we have already exceeded the range. Okay, of the daily range here already. Okay, so indicating that we are quite in a quite sustained move here to the upside. But that maybe that we may see some limitations in further upside here. Okay, again, we have some confluence here around 107.80. Okay, that could serve as a location. We see that VWAP is also at that location. This was the average daily range high, 107.73. That could also offer us maybe a nice location where we can participate and not have to risk all that much to participate in this market to the upside. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the same kind of view that I had with the gold and say that we're kind of bullish, okay, bullish to neutral in this market here. As I mentioned, I did see a fair amount of interest here to the upside in Asia, to a lesser degree in London. Okay. London has kind of remained in some sort of range, right? We remain in this range. We did make an attempt to get to the other break this range to the upside, but that has found, at least for now, some sellers here. Okay, so if I am indeed bullish, this 108 level does appear to be, this whole area down below, I would say, does appear to be a logical area for maybe a participate in this market down here around between 107.60 and 108 seems like a logical area to look to participate in this market here. Okay. Okay. So that's kind of what I have for you for the silver market. We'll go ahead and turn our attention over to the crude oil market. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So crude oil daily chart showing some signs again of continued consolidation. Okay, I guess we had kind of thought that maybe this candle was going to produce maybe another candle that would maybe potentially break the range here to the upside. Not at the moment. Instead, it appears that we are quite content to remain in this range. I would say that we're now beginning to see or beginning to show signs of consolidation here. All right. So as I draw this, I can see that we're developing a little bit of a consolidation pattern. This little triangle pattern here is developing in this market. So while I don't know necessarily the direction in which the market is going to continue, I do know the magnitude of that move. Okay. So we're in for maybe potentially a 3-point move in the crude oil market. Okay. The question is, which direction is that going to be? Is that going to be to the downside, or is that going to be to the upside? Now, we are inside a bullish swing, right? We had a little bit of a pullback, and the at least the initial belief was that we were maybe potentially building up some volume here to potentially head higher. Unfortunately, it looks like we've kind of come across some sellers here, and I think maybe on the shorter term side, we may come back to the lower end of this pattern, right? Maybe come back to the 60 level before any sort of leg is made to the upside. Okay, taking a look at the 4-hour chart. Looking at the 4-hour chart here, see 4-hour. Okay, there it is. Okay. All right, let's close off the initial balance range. Let's take a look here and see what the market is telling us. We're gonna turn this off here. So again, a little bit of a topping pattern, I guess, that's developing here. We've come into an area where we could find some sellers here around the 62 level. I think we've kind of identified this 62 level already as an area of some resistance to price. We're gonna go ahead and mark that in red. Okay, maybe make this a little bit wider so you guys can see that area. Okay, so the expectation is that 62 level is going to continue to serve as an area of some potential resistance to price. Okay, we are still very much inside the swing. I can't say that the sellers are all that strong because the buyers have been able to kind of retrace almost 100% of this area, indicating that we could very well continue to remain in this range here. Okay, so for our chart showing me a little bit of weakness at the moment. Well, it'll be interesting to see here over the next I don't know, hour here how well this candle closes below and whether we are able to break below the 61 level. Okay, and if we break below this, hold below the 61 level and manage to get below the 60-72 level, then maybe we maybe make another run here at the 60. Okay, so right now on the 4-hour, I would say it's looking like it's in some sort of range. Looking at the 30-minute chart, they're seeing some weakness here on the 30-minute chart. Price is below our 9 EMA, below our VWAP. And we're going to take a look here at our fixed range volume profile here, starting on Friday's session here to start, and take a look and see where price is in relation to Friday's price action. And you can see that price is below value, meaning that folks are willing to pay a premium to be a part of this market to the downside. Okay, so there's the break that we've had. We got a break below. Now it looks like we found maybe some interest here at the 60-70 level, right around the what's that? The 100 EMA that I have here on the 30-minute chart. You can see that price is right at the edge of value here on the visible range volume profile. Okay, so that again could serve as maybe an area of reversal. We're still probably a candle away from maybe confirming a potential 3-bar reversal pattern in an area where we've seen a buying in the past, right? There's that 60-80 level. Okay, 60 we're trading at 60-81. Okay, so if we do manage to get maybe another candle here to maybe kind of create maybe a 3-bar reversal pattern right here. Let's go ahead and color that in green. Okay, right, so maybe if we get some sort of candle along those lines, that could maybe be an indication for us for maybe another leg higher in this range that we're currently in. Okay, maybe there's a possibility of that happening. If we manage to break below this level, then I think it opens the door for us to come back and revisit the 60 level. Okay, so I would say that if we are bullish, I also see a little bit of a head and shoulder pattern, right? So this, I've seen all kinds of things. So we got the head here. Okay, this being the head, this being the right shoulder. Okay, right shoulder, and this over here being the, I don't know, left shoulder. Let's say something somewhere in this range, left shoulder. Okay. And then if this being the neckline, all right, around the 60.97 level, where somewhere at the low end of the value. Okay. And if I do take a measure here from the top of the head to the neckline, well, then I can forecast that. And this will take me all the way down to 60.30. Okay. That would be a logical destination for this head and shoulder pattern that we're currently witnessing in this market. Okay. All right. So let's see if there's anything else all that I wanted to do here. Let's quickly take a look at ADR here and see where we are. I think we're not at the so we still have some room here on the ADR. We have some room to the downside. Right, downside leads us to that same location that we were talking about. The 60.30 level, okay, is the lower end of the average daily range here. Okay, that's that level down here. I'm going to go ahead and open up the initial balance ranges. Let's collapse this here for a bit. I actually need to open that up. We'll see if we can find our initial balance range. There it is. And we'll take a look and see. We'll start off with the Asia session and see where Asia was able to do with this market. And looks like they did manage to break higher. Okay, right. So we did get an extension here, although it took a little bit. We did manage to get an extension of this market to the upside. Let's go ahead and remove some of our drawings here. We did manage to break to the upside as we approached London. Got to the 200% extension of this initial range, and then London during London we found some sellers here. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn this over to London. Again, you can see that looks like we found some sellers. We managed to create this initial balance range. We made an attempt to break a nice little failed auction. Okay, nice little failed auction opportunity in the London market today, right? We failed to exceed the initial balance range to the upside, and we turned around and rotated all the way back to the low of initial balance. Now the question is, do we have the participants to continue to drive price lower, or is this going to be an area where we could maybe potentially see some buyers potentially step in? So we're right at a level, the 60.78, 60.80 level that could serve as maybe a potential area of support that could take us at least maybe back to the other side of the range here at 61.22. Okay. All right. So headed into the session, I would have to say that I'm neutral overall, I would say, in this market. I think we are at a level where we could see the market rally here a bit. Would not surprise me if price were to maybe rotate back up to the highs here at 61.23 and the potential of maybe reaching 61.70. Okay. If we are unable to hold this 60.80 level, I think that opens up the door for price to come down to the 60.20, maybe as low as 60. Okay. In this market, if we're unable to hold at the low end of the value range, okay, that could offer us maybe a continuation move here to the downside in this market. Okay. That's also in the cards. All right. All right. Let's go ahead now and move on to the equity markets here, guys. So let's take a look at the NASDAQ. We'll start off with the NASDAQ. And let's see, we'll start off with the daily chart here, and we'll remove some of our drawings, kind of zoom in on kind of what we're seeing here. We'll turn off our ADR here for a moment so we can kind of focus in on what the daily chart is telling us. And you can see that the daily chart is telling us that we are in some sort of range in this market. We did have a gap to the downside that has since been filled. Okay, that has since been filled, and now we're developing maybe a little bit of kind of bullish structure. Now 26,000 continues to be a level that we have not been able to get above. And we basically have been in this kind of tight range here between 26,000 and 25,000. That's kind of been the range that we've been in of late. I'm going to go ahead and draw this in red, okay, indicating that this has been a resistance area, okay. So over the last month or more, we've been in this a range of 25,000 to 26,000, okay. Moving on to the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart showing maybe some initial signs of some bullish price action here. Let's go ahead and turn off initial balance. Let's go ahead and collapse this here. Okay, you can see that the market did manage to rally off of 25,000 here, right? And now we are in some sort of range, right? So we're kind of seem to be content here, trading around this 25,000, 720, 730 level, assuming that we can maybe potentially break above this 740 level. It would not surprise me in the bit, if in the least, I would say, if we did manage to maybe retest these the high end, the 26,000, okay. But we are seeing maybe, if again, if I'm just looking at these set of candles, yeah, you would say that maybe that we are in some sort of bullish pattern here, right? This being kind of a little bit of a consolidation range before we make our next leg higher, okay? Right? That's kind of the view that I have here. Now, if I get some additional context here, you can see that of late we've been in some sort of range. 26,000 continues to come up again as an area of resistance in this market. So until we are able to really break above this 26,000 level, I think the prudent thing to say here is that we're in a market that seems to be content to remain in some sort of range. Okay. So let's take a look now at the 30-minute chart. We're going to kind of open this up here a little bit and see what we can secure here. You can see that we've gotten a little bit of a swing here to the upside, a pretty healthy pullback. And now we've resumed this kind of bullish price action. Now we're coming up against a level where we've sold off in the past, but we ran out of sellers here, and before we received some aggressive buyers. Price all it did was manage to get back down to this VWAP, right, before it continued to rally to the upside. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the fixed range volume profile here. Let's go ahead and compare what we had in the way of price, okay, and where price is in relation to the value range. Okay, you can see that we're inside value, right? We're inside an area of balance. Okay, so right now, assuming we can get above this 25,725, if we can get above that level, there is nothing that there's no reason I would say that we cannot get up to the highs here at 25,800, but we need to get above this 25,740 level, and that could open up the door for price to reach this 25,806, 25,810 level, okay, before we maybe make another attempt at 26,000, okay. But right now, that's kind of what I'm seeing as far as price action, okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at the initial balance range and see what the market participants were able to do with this market. Let's start off with the Asia market to start here. Asia managed to extend the market higher. We reached the we didn't quite reach the 200% extension, but we did get to the point of control of the from Friday's range as well as the visible range. Okay, before we found some sellers at this point of control at 25,740. Now we're close to back to that level. The question is, do we still have sellers in the market? Okay, are sellers still present in the market, or did we exhaust the sellers here? Okay, because again, they managed to get the market back to VWAP, but were not able to extend it much further before buyers began to step in again. Okay, so right now I would say that the market is looking certainly in range, possibly in a bullish leg of that range. I would say that certainly the possibility of reaching the 25,800 level is still very much in the cards. Obviously, we need to get above 25,740 in order for that to take place. Okay. I'm going to take a quick look here at London and see what London was able to do with this market. All right. London was initially bearish. Okay. Initially bearish. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Sticks. All right. So initially bearish, we got down to this VWAP. Now we're back inside the range. It looks like we've already kind of rotated all the way through that range. Okay. So again, if we can get above 25,740, I do not see a reason why we can't get up to maybe 25,825, 25,800. Okay. In this market. All right. Let's see what I wanted to do. Oh, I wanted to check to see where ADR, how much room we had to the ADR on the ADR side. Okay, so there it is. We have 25,761, which is the high end of the ADR range. So that's kind of an initial indicator on how far this rally could potentially reach. Maybe we get as high as 783 before we start to see statistically maybe a market that maybe wants to rotate. Okay, because we have a fair amount of room here to the downside in this market. Now, assuming that we are able to break this 25,780 level, then I would say that this area could serve as an area of some support, right? We break this level to the upside, come back down, that area serves as an area of support, and that could offer us maybe a continued rally in this market. So right now, I would say neutral to bullish, I think, is in order for this market. I'd like to see the market make a higher high to kind of continue the pattern that we've been seeing of late. But it does appear to be a market that is at least in a bullish leg here to the upside. Just gonna. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the ES here. ES, and we'll start off with the daily chart. Okay, so we are developing a bullish candle here. We'll go ahead and turn off the initial balance as well as the ADR here for a moment and kind of take a look and see what context we can get from this market. You can see that we are in the process of filling this gap that was left at the open of Tuesday. Okay, we're not quite there yet, 69.74, and then we have that 7,000 level that we have not been able to get above. Again, market has been in some sort of range, has been a little bit bullish of late. Okay, looking at this last few days since Wednesday, you can see that we're developing a little bit of a demand zone here. Okay, right? We have not been able to make a newer low and have not been able to make a higher high. We're kind of in the middle, stuck in the middle. Okay, looking maybe for some additional news or additional catalyst on the direction. Okay, we do have earnings coming in this week that could drive the markets in one direction or the other, but it does appear that we are in a market that is in some sort of range. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart, looking at the 4-hour chart again, if all I'm looking as is these set of candles, well, you can see that the market has swung to the upside, got a little bit of a pullback, and we found some more buyers. Now we are retesting these highs here at 69.60. If we do manage to get above this level, we're going to go ahead and mark this initially as resistant. Okay, but if we do get above that level, I could use 69.60 as an area for me to for support. Right, what was resistant becomes supportive. Okay, taking a look at the 30-minute chart. Looking at the 30-minute chart, you can see that price is above some of these indicators that we care about. It's above the 9, above the 50, above the 50 and 100 and 200 levels. Okay, price is above all those levels. With the close of this candle, okay, we did manage. Oops, I'm in a 20-minute range here. Okay, with the close of this candle here, we did manage to break above this range, but as I mentioned earlier, 69.60 is in the horizon. Right now we have what appears to be some sort of ascending wedge, right? This is the bottom end of this wedge pattern, right? We have an ascending triangle, right? Okay, so the question now becomes, Do we remain in this triangle pattern, right? In a tight range, or do we get the participants to eventually break this range? Now, I'm of the school that I need to see price leave the range and then hold that range in order for me to participate in the market. If I'm going to participate in a range kind of market, one of two things can happen, right? We get up to this range, right? We get up to 69.60 and we reverse away from it. Okay, that's one possibility, right? We could do something like this, okay, or we can extend the top end and hold. That's and maybe look for a continuation move here to the upside. Okay, those are a couple of things that I'm seeing here on the 30-minute chart. Taking a look at the fixed range volume profile. We're going to take a look at the fixed range volume profile here. Drag this across to the close of the session on Friday, and you can see that we are at the upper end of that range. Again, another location where we could potentially see price reverse away from. Okay, another location here at 69.55. Let's say. Okay. So upper end of the range, still inside value, but on the upper end of it. Okay. Taking a look at the initial balance range across the various sessions, we'll start off with the Asia market and see what Asia was able to do with this market. And similar to the Nasdaq, the market was able to drive price higher. Okay, we got to London, and what did London do? Well, London took it right back to where Asia started, and they continued. Okay, so again, this level here, this top end of this has already shown that there is some interest in participating in this market. Let's see if I can find there it is. Okay, so this area right here, 69.25, does appear to be a supportive area. Okay, we've left this area once, retested and rallied in Asia, came back in London, drove down to that price, and again found some buyers. So I would, until it's broken, until we hold below this 69.30 level, I have to look at this 69.30 as a area of some level of support. Okay, now I know that we're well above that level at the moment, but in some future date here, if we do get back to the 69.30 level, we could follow the same path that we've been following at 69.30 for some time. Okay, all right. Let's see. I was going to take one last peek here at the ADR here just to see how much more upside we have in this market. Well, we've already exceeded it. Okay, to the upside. We're already at the top end of the average daily range. So the momentum to the upside could stall here. If we do hold bullish, we certainly want price to remain above the 69.40 level, and if we get above a 69.60, then again we've already kind of went through that scenario there. I'd like to see price hold 69.60 in order for me to maybe entertain a run towards 7,000. Okay, that's a possibility. Otherwise, we're going to continue to remain in range around 69.60 and kind of bounce between 69.60 and this lower trend line that we have here in red. Okay, as part of this ascending triangle pattern. All right. So see, headed into the session, I would say that again, similar to what I had come up with. I say neutral to bullish seems to be the sentiment currently in the ES market. All right. Well, before we do our final review across all the markets, we'll take a look at the Dow. We'll start off with the daily chart. Again, you can see that we are in some sort of consolidation pattern here. We're going to go ahead and turn off our initial balance. We're going to go ahead and turn off our ADR here. We're going to collapse this here and just kind of get a sense. Now, I had drawn an earlier wedge here, and we see that we broke below that wedge. Now possibly let's go ahead and remove these drawings here. I'm trying to get a sense of exactly what to do here as far as definitely a market that seems to be in some sort of consolidation, right? So here we are. There's our maybe wedge pattern that we could draw from this. Okay, something along these kind of lines is kind of what I'm able to arrive at. So a lot in the way of overlapping price. Kind of the market seems to be in some sort of consolidation here around this 840 down to 48,620. A market that seems to be in some sort of consolidation range. Taking a look at the 4-hour, looking at the 4-hour, again, you can see more candles, but still very much inside the range. Price did manage to get below the 9 and was following the VWAP on this path lower. Since then, at the start of the day today, it seems like we found maybe at least initially some buyers. Okay, we came down to this 200. What's that? This is 4-hour. Looking at the 3-hour. All right, let's. Yeah, so same kind of view here. Instead of we came down to this. Looks like the 100. Okay, 4 minute. I'll get this right, guys. Promise. Okay, here we go. All right. All right. VWAP, right? We reached VWAP, and now we've kind of hugging VWAP to the upside. Price is above our 9 EMA. So kind of showing us some signs here that maybe we are in for another bullish leg here. I'm going to go ahead and draw my extension tool to see where price could potentially reach. And looks like it, has the potential of coming pretty close to this 50,000 level. Okay. Assuming that I'm correct, that we are in some sort of bullish swing here, right? We see a channel break to the upside. Okay. And we are still inside the swing that was developed here on the 4-hour. Okay. So that would be a logical target for the Dow. All right. On the 4-hour, looking at the 30-minute chart. Okay. 30-minute chart, you can see that price is above our 9. We're starting to, we had crossed below some of our EMAs here. We're kind of, clustering on these EMAs at these levels. Price did manage to get above, make a new high here. So indication that maybe we are again in a bullish leg, right? So again, I'm marking this as supportive now, right? Because since we're above, so this level here at 49,300 could be a logical place for price to continue to the upside. As long as price remains above our 9, above our VWAP, I have to remain on the side of the buyers. Okay. Taking a look at the fixed range volume profile, just kind of taking a look and see where price is in relation to Friday's price action. Well, it does appear that we're below it. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so here we are. Drag this across to the close. All right, so actually we're at the upper end of value. Okay, kind of flirting with the idea, the possibility of breaking above. Okay, so this area, so we'll go ahead and extend this line. All right, extend this line over. So there we are. We're at the upper end of value from Friday. Okay, so could we find some sellers at these levels? Absolutely. If we break above and hold, then that could offer us maybe a leg back to some of these highs here, right? I don't see anything that stands in the way. Should price hold above this level, I don't see anything that stands in the way until, say, 49,450 and then ultimately 49,600. All right. Let's take a peek here at the initial balance ranges across the various markets here. We'll start off with the Asia range here. So Asia, again, I guess closer to the tail end of London, but you can see that Asia did extend to the upside to the 100% before we started to see a reversal. We get into London. This is the start of London here. London drove price back, but basically stalled at the same location that Tokyo left. Okay, so we took a peek below. Consider this more of a kind of a failed auction. We rotated through the initial balance range in London, and now we've broken the range to the upside. Again, indicating to us that maybe there is maybe the beginnings of some bullish price action here. Okay, I think is going to be important if we are able to get above this value area high from Friday. We are already at the ADR for the day. Okay, so this area could indeed offer us maybe a little bit of a market where we could potentially rotate. Right, we are at the average daily range high. Okay, so, and we're at a statistical range where price could potentially reverse. Should we, if we are able to get above it and hold, say 49,350, I think that opens up the door maybe to revisit some of these initial balances from London, okay, that we had on Friday. Okay, all right. So again, neutral to bullish, I would say in the Dow is in order. We are up against a level that could cause price to reverse here a bit. So we'll have to watch to see over the next couple of candles, what kind of candles do we end up getting? Do we get maybe a potential 3-bar reversal pattern that could give us maybe another leg down to the lows here, maybe down to VWAP? Okay. Good morning. All right. So let's summarize our view here, guys. We'll go ahead and run through this. So gold market, taking a look at this, I'm going to go ahead and open not the UK range. It looks like UK, the London was able to extend lower. We got to an area of some support here, upper end of the average daily range, and looks like that has been supportive, right? We're kind of looking at this level as a potential area of support. Now, assuming that we can get back inside the initial balance range of London, then that could offer us maybe a rotation back to the highs of the day. Okay, taking a look at the current initial balance range that's being established. Let's go ahead and open this up for the day session here. Looking at the day session, you can see that we opened the relatively second candle here's creating a bullish engulfing pattern. If we do manage to close above this 9 EMA, certainly above this 5091 level, which is the most recent area of consolidation, that could create the kind of opportunity where we could get another leg higher in this market. So first order of business for me is to see, one, does price close above the VWAP, and two, does price close above the 9 EMA before I would be willing to entertain a long. Otherwise, I have to be cognizant of the fact that we are a bit extended here to the upside. That could offer us maybe, and we are already reached this average daily range high. That there is a possibility that we could rotate and maybe repair some of this toothiness of the volume profile that we have here. Okay, before we make any sort of leg higher. So we're at an important area. We're up at the highs. Not really keen necessarily to participate to the long side unless I get some further evidence of that. Right now, I have to be cognizant of the fact that there is the possibility that we could rotate through some of these areas and kind of maybe address some of these single prints that were established on this open. Okay, and we do have a gap that needs to be filled here at some point. Okay. All right, taking a look at the silver. Okay, silver also, I think, giving us the same kind of feel. Okay, we are a little bit of range. Silver, unlike the gold, is working its way above the 9 EMA. Okay, indicating to us that maybe there is some more upside to this market. We are inside the range or inside the initial balance range. The initial balance range is gonna close out here in about 5 minutes. Assuming we can break above this, then maybe there is another leg higher in this market. Assuming we can close above the 9 and get above this 110.40 level, that could open up the door for maybe another leg to the upside. Always kind of concerned here up at the highs that price could potentially rotate, right? We did leave a lot of single prints here at lower prices, but as long as price remains above my 9, above my VWAP, I have to continue to entertain to the long side. Taking a look at the crude oil. Crude oil, again, continuing to show signs of weakness. I would say that we need to look for opportunities for price to maybe potentially continue lower. We have a sloping 9 EMA, sloping VWAP, indicating to the downside. So I would say that the best path would be to sell some strength here, maybe up at 60.95 could offer me a location where I could potentially entertain a short trade in this market. Certainly 6105 seems to be another logical level. But yes, it does appear to be a market that's going to is looking to remain in some sort of range, possibly heading maybe for another revisit of this 60 level. All right. Taking a look, last peek at the equity markets before the open here. So again, fair amount of earnings this week, guys. So I'm seeing some signs here, some bullish price action. Market has been in range of late. Is it in range in Friday's session? Price has managed to get back inside. We're at the point of control of the fixed range volume profile as well as the visible range volume profile. I do see that I am at the average daily range high here. So that could offer us maybe a location where price could reverse away from. Okay, that's not out of the realm of possibility. If we do manage to get above it and then maybe retest it, that could offer us maybe another leg higher. But I'm coming into an area where there has been some sellers in the past, and we are in some sort of range. So I have to be cognizant of that. ES provides similar kind of view here, guys. We are up against the highs here at 69.60. I would say 69.60 could be an area where we could potentially reverse. If we do manage to break that area and hold, 69.60 could serve as a springboard for maybe additional price higher. And then last but not least, the Dow. The Dow is also in a similar location at this 49,340 level. Again, at the upper end of the average daily range. So again, upside opportunities could be limited. Okay. And we could see maybe a little bit of a rotation here, or maybe a little bit of a reversal in price since we've reached the average daily range. Now, if we do manage to get above 49,340, since we've reached this range relatively early, that does give us maybe the possibility of the market continuing. But I need to see price be able to hold above 49,340. Okay. With that, I think, guys, I managed to get through all the markets here. I'm going to kind of keep my eye on gold here for a bit, maybe silver, maybe for a possibility for maybe another leg to the upside here. But I'd like to see this initial balance range kind of establish 1 and 2, see price get above it before I'm willing to maybe entertain a long. If not, then I'll look at some other markets here. But take a look here and see if there's any questions. Not seeing any questions, guys. So we'll go ahead and close off this session as we close other sessions with trade well, trade safe, trade like a pro, be a market trader. As you exit, guys, please don't hesitate to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment or two up on the portal indicating to folks how this analysis is supporting your trading. You're welcome. You're welcome, Sipadia. You're welcome, Antha. I don't know if I said good morning to Marie. Good morning, Marie. All right. So I think that's with the open of the market, guys. I think we have our kind of our plan. Okay. Now it's a matter of waiting and being patient for our levels. Okay. And seeing what the market provides here. Okay. All right, guys. That is it for me. Have an excellent day trading. And if I don't catch you on Discord, maybe we'll catch you in group coaching later this afternoon. Otherwise, have an excellent day trading. Talk soon.